Today I'd like to talk a bit about Nietzsche's concept of the eternal recurrence, specifically the scientific proofs for it. The concept itself, if you're not familiar with it, is the idea that time exists within a circle. The world was not created and will not be destroyed and does not have any specific purpose of any kind, but rather that every state, every physical state which has ever existed and which does exist and which will exist, is constantly altering and changing. And as it's always altering, it can never become, so to speak. It has no being as such. The first scientific proof for this is the principle of the conservation of energy. So, all energy exists in a constant state of change. It can never reach equilibrium as such, as force is applied on objects and to and fro, and it can never reach an equilibrium. See, all energy is in a process of pushing towards something, but never becoming it. And so, as it can never reach a state of equilibrium, it is in a state of, well, the opposite of that, inequilibrium, imbalance, and this will continue indefinitely, forever. And because this continues, this cycle continues, no equilibrium of any kind can ever be achieved, no balance, no perfection in the universe. Then take time itself. Even after Christianity no longer became relevant in philosophy, many philosophers still upheld Christian dogma, or at least Christianized world thinking. And so one belief which was common was that the earth was, that the existence of the world was created at one point, that there was a beginning, that it started, that eventually there will be an end. But it's very easy to disavow this. Sure, you can count backwards in time and keep counting until, well, infinity, and so you could do the same thing forwards, but that does not mean that that time is infinite either. So these two ideas are basically the two main ideas in the philosophy of thinking about time and the world. But you see, there's really two different timelines for infinity, in which infinity can be represented. There is essentially the infinity of everything we know is possible, or everything which could plausibly be possible. And then there is the infinity of everything which exists outside of that, because ultimately infinity must be boundless. But if we can place any kind of definition, any kind of law on existence and on the universe and on the world, then ultimately the smaller or minor infinity must also be true. So, for example, take a basic law like how matter cannot be created; it must change form, one form to another. The very fact that a law like this exists in the universe means that true infinity and also the smaller infinity must both exist. And the only way to represent this is with a circle, right? With one infinity inside the other. Now imagine a circle of infinite diameter. Think not of a line, a timeline, which stretches for infinity, as this would be contradictory to what we already know. Think rather of a circle of infinite diameter. You see, everything that exists has already existed an infinite number of times, and it will exist again an infinite number of times. And there's no way we can change that. Let's make one more point on the idea of creation, or a beginning of any kind. It doesn't have necessarily mean that there's a God. Because force cannot exist without... Let me change my camera angle. Because force cannot exist without matter of any kind, no force could have created the universe. And also, the notion of force being constant also destroys any idea of timelessness. You see, time must at one point be created again. It must inevitably go towards some kind of destruction, as all forces, all pressures, and all energy in this world is not being pushed towards an equilibrium. It's being pushed towards a destruction of some kind. And this is existent on a macroscopic level and on a microscopic level. So in our day-to-day lives, we live this on a microscopic level. We see every force in nature, in the world itself, and in human beings, being pushed not towards some perfection or some balance, but rather towards the destruction and inevitably the recreation of life. On a macroscopic level, this is of course contained within the infinity, and the infinity itself is pushing towards its inevitable destruction and inevitable creation. I'll make more videos on this and implications of the theory and what it means to us on a microscopic level. But for now, I just wanted to state those two basic scientific proofs for the theory, and that's all I wanted to say.